Hello and welcome to another ukulele tutorial. I hope you enjoy this one. I've been sounding it for a while because I had it tabbed partially in this position and then partially up the neck, and I thought, you know what, rather than jump between two positions, let's just stay with our index around 3rd fret and move around this sort of shape to make life easier. You'll notice there was a bit of a stretch to 8th. And you don't have to stretch that far if you don't want to. You could move your hands, as long as you know where you're going and you can get back to 3rd eventually, then you should be fine. But let's just look at the first section. So we're in 4/4 time, and to start with, first bar, we've got a tea, coffee. And we could probably go into the second bar as well, just to give us that phrase. So tea, coffee, coffee. That's what we're aiming for. So it'd be a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. But it'll make a bit more sense if we play it. So 3 over there. I tend to do like a little mini bar, so I feel like I have control over this string as well. So a mini bar, mini bar. And then I'm coming over to 6 and 5 over there. And I use my strong fingers, my ring and my middle finger for that one. And I'm going to move my hand up as well. Typically, you know me guys, I tend to go into guitar mode, but for the uke, I would probably advise that you try your strong fingers, so your thumb over there on your C string, index on the E, and then your middle finger on your A string. That kind of configuration. Most people prefer that. You don't have to. You could use a pick for this as well, because we're not plucking accompaniment notes at the same time. So whatever you want to do with your fingers, do that with your fingers. I will probably default to these, I'm not going to lie, just because then I won't make so many mistakes, because I'm used to it. So let's just talk you through what's going on there. Like I said, tea, coffee, it's always the easiest one to do, but you're going to go tea, coffee, T, because remember the little lightning bolts, they are crotchet or quarter note rests, but you still have to count them, otherwise you go straight into the next phrase and it sounds a bit like gobbledygook, and we don't want that. So if we were counting it, we'd go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, alright? Let's see if you can join in with me. So plant your finger firmly on 3, even if it's just on this string, that's totally fine. This is just my preference to do that, so I get a bit of control. Hopefully less ghost notes, who knows. So counting you in, find the 6, find the 5, get ready, hover. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's do that again. Get into the rhythm after a while. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you'll be happy to know that repeats on the second line. So well done. You've learned quite a nice big chunk of the song, so that's good. So let's move on. Let's go to bar 3 into bar 4 again, so that you get the phrase. So a little bit more movement with this one. You've got to kind of have a little fiddle and find what works for your fingers. So for my fingers, I tend to go ring finger, index, ring finger, little finger, ring finger, index. And then I tend to find the ring finger on 6 works well. And then back to my middle finger on 5. And I do like a little shake there, just for effect. You don't have to do it, don't worry. But that's all I'm doing. And you can see that 5 in that last bar, it fills up the entire bar, because it is worth 4 beats, okay? So, nothing to worry about basically. Once you get to that 5, you've got time to breathe and think, where am I going next? So, let's take you from bar 3, and very, very slowly then, just so that you get the idea of it. So we're going, let's use a Jessica, and then a dumpty coffee. Alright, again, a Jessica dumpty coffee. I'm just laughing because my fingers switched roles there. Don't worry if that happens to you. As long as you're landing well, it's okay. They'll sort themselves out because they'll find the easiest path, essentially. They always do. Let's do it again. So a Jessica dumpty coffee. And if I were counting it, I'd go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, laughing at my fingers for swapping. Let's see if we can play it together, shall we guys? And land on the 5 at the end too. So we'll do the 2 bars, because why not? you don't want to leave you hanging, do I? So bar 3 into bar 4, I'll count you in and I'll keep counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's do it again. Counting you in. This time I might use mnemonics to help you out. You might find that easier. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Jessica, dumpty coffee. Maybe a shoe on that last one. That's a nice long one. Shoe. Okay, if you need to go back and do that again, please do. If you need to slow the video down, please do. Here's the little graphic just to remind you. Settings, cog, playback speed, 75. Can't recommend it enough. It's brilliant. I use it all the time. And of course you could speed me up as well if you want to. Just go the other way with your speed. Okay, so let's rewind and see if we can do the whole of the top line, okay? So check your bar, whether it's just the 1, 3, or whether you're barring across both to give yourself a little bit more control on that string. Whatever you're doing, just plant yourself there, find your 6, find your 5, and also just practice reaching to the 7 and getting a nice clean note out of it. Alright, that's probably the hardest part here because you'll be concentrating so much you might get that kind of thing, but it's okay. It's still on 7, it's just that it rolled off of the middle of the fret. It's subtle, isn't it? It's subtle and it's so easy to go wrong, so don't worry, just give it a go. Alright, so 3, here we go. We got it. Counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and let's do that again. I think it's worth doing. It's good practice. Let's go for it. So again, make sure you got everything. Make sure you can find your 7. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 3 and 4 and. Alrighty then, on line 2, I'm hoping that this is looking familiar. So bar 5 and 6 are identical to bar 1 and 2. In other words, you've already done this. So I don't feel like we've got to go over that one again because you probably drilled it already. So let's come over to bar 7, alright? 7 first. And I'm going to keep my index on 3 for the time being, but I will show you a method of moving it up in a minute. So for now, we're going to do this, and with the idea being that in the next bar, we might stretch to 8 this way. Because if I were to move, I'd probably do it at the end of that bar, like that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So back to my 3, back to bar 7, and we've got a Jessica. We'd go Jessica T, dump T. Do it again. Jessica T, dump T. And if I were counting it, I'd have a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Right, let's give it a go. So from bar 7, counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's do it with mnemonics, counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Jessica T, dump T. Good, go back, rewind that if you need to, go around it a couple times, and then from there you just go into your 8. So I just slide up, and sometimes I do get a little pull off, but it's not too bad because I've kept my 3 down. So don't worry if that happens to you. And like I said, after that is where I tend to move. But by all means, you could have your index up on 5th by this point, and you'd find that a lot easier. So please do use what works for your hand. This is just what works for mine. I'm very, very used to anchoring and stretching that far, but I know most people aren't. All right. So anyway, I've come from my 7. I've come from my dump T, and then T, T, and then this will be a coffee, but to start with, we'll just do it as if it's T. So T, T, T. All right. So let's do that phrase up to that little blue 8. Let's see if we can do it. So we're going to go from bar 7 into bar 8. All right, here we go. Counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. One more time. Let's do it. Counting you in. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Super duper. Good. All right, now let's make sure you can do that whole line then. So again, thinking 3, 6, 5. Just checking you've got it all in your brain. You're like, all right, I think I can do this. So nice and slowly from bar 5, the beginning of this line. Here we go. Counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Super job. Well done, guys. Okay, so like I said, from there, this is where this finger's going to come up to 5th, because I'm looking ahead at the next line and also at the end of this line. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to need a 5. And if I look ahead, quick peek for you, there are a lot of 5s in this, so I might as well come up. And there are no more 3s, so there's no need to keep this one back down there. So we could do it for that if we want to, but we really don't need to keep it on for the rest of the song. So we can bring it up to 5 and our wrist will relax. So let's just show you how I would do that. I'll go from bar 7 just to give you the context of that. Let's get the 3 back. So I'd go. Did you see what I did there? So it was there. It pinged a little. It shouldn't have pinged quite so dramatically. But I had my. And then on that blue one. And then on the 7 I came to ring finger. And then index was on the 5. So I do recommend you move your hand like that. And as I've said already, if you really don't like stretching for this 8, let's see where you could move for it, shall we, before we move on? So we've got a... probably here. Yeah, probably there. So 5, 3, 5, slide to 7, keep the index on 5, and do it that way. Alright, so just to reiterate, if you don't want to do the big stretch, slide up. So you're going to go 5, 3, 5 on bar 7 and then slide up where it says C. And then you're happy. Happy days. All right, so moving on, that blue 8 is part of a coffee. So we would go T, T, coffee, coffee. And again, you would go T, T, coffee, coffee. All right, let's see if you can do that. So this is looking specifically at bar 8, just bar 8. And make sure you do that with your little finger because that's probably where you're coming from, all right? So we'll assume that your index is around 5th at this point. So here we go, counting you in 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... All right, I'm going to move you on then to the next line because I think you can probably handle it now. It's only going to get easier from now on. Just stay with me. 3 more bars where we're up the next. Stay with me, guys. The next 2 bars, 9 and 10, you've got the same rhythm for both. So it's going to be a dump, tea, coffee, dump, tea, coffee, which is quite nice to get in your head. So dump, tea, coffee, dump, tea, coffee. And we won't go that far, so don't worry. Get your 8 ready, make sure your 5 is there, and let's go for it nice and slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and dump, tea, coffee, dump, tea, coffee. This time we'll see if we can do it with numbers because I know some of you prefer that. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So not too bad once you've got that rhythm in your head. Let's do it one more time, whichever method you prefer. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 It's interesting, isn't it? The way it sort of plays with the offbeat. That's why it's a good piece. All right, next bar then, and of course rewind that as many times as you need to get that in your head. Please, please, please do. Remember, you can slow it down. But we're going to move you on. So bar 11, coffee, coffee. Let's see, what else have we got? Actually, let's turn that into a Jessica. That'll make it easier. Coffee, Jessica, Dumpty. And we'll go into the next bar for the 5, just so that we complete the phrase and it doesn't leave our ear hanging. Funny phrase. So, coffee, Jessica, Dumpty, tea. And again, just to get it in your head. That's all I'm doing. Just trying to get it in your head. Coffee, Jessica, Dumpty, tea. Alright, so see if you can do it. I'll count you in. But we'll go slower, don't worry. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and coffee, Jessica, Dumpty, tea. Alright, and now with numbers. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Nearly forgot the next bar. Let's do that one last time just to finish you off. So counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, let's rewind you to bar 9. Let's do all of this line up until the 5 in the last bar. Okay, we can do this. Counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1, 2, 3. Good, well done. And if you need to go back over that, please do, but I'm going to move on because there's still at least one more line to get through. You're doing so well, guys. Pause it if you need a cup of tea, by all means. Don't feel you have to do this all in one go. But we'll move on, we'll keep going. So I said at the end of this line, we've got the beginning of the next phrase. And we do. And this kind of marks the end of being up the neck. You get to move down and go, I can feel my hand again. So hope is coming, don't worry. But before that, we've just got to make sure that we land nicely, so get the rhythm right. So in that last bar, bar 12, you're going to go 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, so it's the and of beat 3 that you start on. So from the 5, with your index, you'll go 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, see if you can do it with me. 1, and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright, one more time just to check you got that a little bit. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Jessica. Super duper, alright. Okay, we're finally on the last line, and like I promised, you're no longer up here, you are now down here in happiness, in open position. And we've got an open G here, and I just want to remind you guys, if you don't have a high G, and it sounds really weird if you use this one, then use 3rd fret on the E string, because these notes are the same. Okay? Top tip, and you can use that in lots of different songs to adapt things. So this bar, in bar 13 for instance, if you used that one, it would sound like this. And if you use the open note, can you hear I'm getting a bit of a pull off there? So mind your pull offs and mind your playing. Just be aware of those ghost notes. It's a pressure thing, and clearly I have sticky fingers. What can I say? If I keep squeezing, it will ring and it will clash, because they're like a semitone apart, those notes, and it doesn't sound good. They're next to each other basically. Clashy, clashy. So we want to go. So I leave it on, but I don't squeeze. That would be squeezing. That's not squeezing. Now let's see if I remember that as we go through with the counting. So just like the first 2 bars of the previous line, we've got the same rhythm in both of these bars, which is going to help us out. So in both of them, dump, tea, coffee, dump, tea, coffee. So let's see if we can do bar 1. Let's move this hand up, it keeps sneaking away. So counting you in for bar 13. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's do it again, this time with mnemonics. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and dump, tea, coffee. Alright, so that's a fairly easy bar, so I'll move you on. And again, same rhythm. So next bar, dump, tea, coffee. Dump, tea, coffee. Let's do it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One more time with mnemonics. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and dump, tea, coffee. Okay? And then I know you're so close and you're raring to go, but just rewind yourself, just make sure you've got that in your fingers. So from bar 13 into bar 14, let's just check we've got it. Counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright, and I'm going to move you on into bar 15 because we're going to revise the whole line in a minute anyway. So bar 15, you've got a Jessica T, dum, T. And again, Jessica T, dum, T. Or a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's give it a go. Counting you in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. Let's do it again, this time with mnemonics. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Jessica T, dum, T. One more time with mnemonics. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Jessica T, dum, T. Alright, let's see if we can do the whole of that last line. So counting you in, go steady to start with, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright, now do that one more time with mnemonics this time. I just prefer mnemonics on this. It's so offbeat, counting the free and ands and coming in on funny beats froze my brain, especially when I'm staring at a ring light. So let's go from bar 13 with mnemonics. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and dum, tea, coffee, dum, tea, coffee, Jessica T, dum, tea. And a final top tip from me. If you got really into this, then you could have a C chord on that beat. So don't feel like it can just be a 3. If you're really into it and you want to, strum it and have a C chord, why not? Oh, rest for a second, roll thy shoulders, and we will go back up to the top. And remember that blue 8? That's where you will stop. So you can kind of feel that leaves you hanging and it wants to go back to, but not to finish there, it wants to carry on. So you keep going. For now. And then that's the ending, that blue 8. So well done. Let's see if we can go all the way through, alright? I won't count because I'll throw you and myself. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Alrighty, well done. We've gone all the way through. Breathe a sigh of relief. I'm going to put up a backing so that you can play along with it, guys, because I think you'd really enjoy that. And I'm also going to put the tab on my Udemy. And as before, it'll be a case of you just scroll down and it'll be there underneath, probably a video of me performing it, knowing me. So there you go. It's all going to be there for you. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.